Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are live on the FFO Frequency episode 2. Here from Ordinary Clothing, Ordinary John and Ordinary Nick. And we are here live today, and we're just waiting for today's guest, Ezinma. We're very excited to go live with her momentarily. She'll be tuning in, so thank you to everybody. And so at Ordinary...
Joel, what up? What up?
So at Ordinary Clothing, guys, the mission is simple. We're encouraging the masses to pursue a far from ordinary life. And our guest really epitomizes that, Nick. She is truly far from ordinary, and we're very excited to chat with her. So she'll be, we'll be inviting her here momentarily.
There we go.
Hey!
Yo.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, how you doing?
I'm great, I'm great.
That's good.
That's awesome. Good to see you again.
Likewise, it's been ages. Last time we were jamming, Buck and I, we were in the mall. Remember that?
Yeah, at Ventura Mall.
Yeah.
Lemon, at our pop-up.
Yeah, that's sick.
I think we saw you in New York. Was the last time we saw you. At Catch.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just...
So,
yeah.
how you been?
I've been good. Right now I'm in Arizona.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we decided to hibernate out here. So it's been really cool. It's been like so busy today. I've done so many interviews, these virtual photo shoots. I don't know if you've heard of the app Close, C-L-O-S.
No, I haven't
heard of that one.
Okay, it's fire. Basically, you can work with a photographer, and they basically take photos from your iPhone remotely.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something we could even benefit from ourselves. That's great.
Yeah, I'll text it to you guys. It's fire, and it was incredible. And so all the photos live on my phone, and there were like 250 photos, and they're bomb. All you need is a tripod, and they snap for you.
So what's in Arizona, like just to get away from New York, or?
Yeah, I was in New York, and just to get away.
It's pretty bad there with the whole COVID and everything, right?
Horrible, yeah. Really horrible. But, New Yorkers are so tough and everything, so, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like, especially on CNN down here, we've seen like Governor Cuomo and just, the whole state's really rallied around. It's been a war zone there, so I'm glad to see you guys pulling through. We send our best.
Yeah, and you guys are, you're in LA, right?
We're in Winnipeg, actually. So we're currently, we're in Winnipeg. We visit LA quite often. Nick, you were there recently. Yeah. So.
But right now we're in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
We have a shop out here, so we're just working on that and some online stuff, and
cool.
Just staying out of trouble.
Trying.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. But no, we're so grateful to have you on, and we're we're really appreciative to really discuss just your journey with the violin and with music. And why don't you start? Tell everyone a little bit about yourself and kind of your journey just with music and starting at such a young age. And please.
Totally. So I'm from Nebraska originally, and I started playing when I was 3 years old. I live in Violin Bay. I live in New York. That's where I work professionally. But so I grew up in Nebraska, which is a predominantly white place. There's not a lot of diversity, and I'm mixed race. My father's Guyanese, and my mother is German American. So kind of just never really fit in, and I just gravitated towards music because it was my comfort. It was my friend group in a way, like doing orchestra and traveling, and I did a lot of traveling when I was little. Going to Europe to perform in Italy, and it was just, kind of my upbringing was doing a lot of music. And then I moved to New York to study. I went to the New School, where I got into production and started to experiment more with other sides of music, which were so different from classical. So I did that, and then, being in New York, of course, you're just exposed to so many different types of influences and everything. So I met incredible people, including Buck, actually, just a bunch of creatives at the time, jazz guys, dancers, producers, singers, And then from there, I started working for Beyoncé, and I worked with her for about 3 years. And then got in the studio with a lot of great artists. And then fast forward to last year, I signed a record deal with Universal, and now I'm working on my own music, which is super awesome.
Wow.
And yeah, we unfortunately had to push stuff back because of COVID, but hopefully we're going to be able to put everything out in July. So yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's just, I mean, it's so cool. And I mean, the one thing that we found just so, call it far from ordinary, was that, you know, the violin in itself, people look at it, it's this 4-string kind of ancient type instrument, but you really transformed it and really brought it into kind of modern day music and put this real twist on it. And I know you like to use the word fusion, but how would you describe your music to people that have never heard you play before, just aren't as familiar with your craft?
Yeah, great question. I would just describe it as, if I could take one word, I mean, fusion, but if I couldn't use fusion, juxtaposition. I don't know if that's too fancy, but it's just like taking, I'm so fascinated by opposite worlds. I mean, I look at my parents, you know, white and black, totally different cultures, totally different ways of living. You know, I look at that, and then I look at classical and hip hop. I love hip hop. I love, you know, Pop Smoke and 808s, and that's such an incredible sound, but then fusing it with Bach. So a lot of my music, which I'll be putting out, or everything has that fusion in it. And it's great. There's no lyrics or anything. It's just instrumental. And I personally love instrumental music, especially when you're working and you know, to get those like brain juices flowing. So yeah, I would just describe it as a juxtaposition, opposites meeting in one.
Very cool. Who's kind of your inspiration? Like, I remember like when I was in high school, there was Marie Ben-Ari.
Yeah, Marie Ben-Ari, she's fire, of course.
She's amazing. She did a lot of Kanye stuff, and like, did you look up to her, or was she one of your? Yeah,
we she was like, you know, let's do something together. So, you know, of course with COVID, everything's like, but she's incredible, and just, you know, seeing her doing that, I was a kid at the time, but you're just like, oh my God, like this is so fire. So obviously her, Buck is a huge inspiration because he does that as well. I feel like he's really in a lot of different worlds. You know, he takes street dance and he mixes it with classical, and it's really incredible. Misty Copeland, she's an incredible ballerina. I'm just fascinated by people who exist and thrive in spaces that aren't supposed to be for them. And that's something that I just find incredibly, sorry, it's really noisy. Something I find really inspiring for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because I mean, you're really taking classical and putting your own twist on it. And, you know, essentially with our design, it's very similar. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're just kind of taking a t-shirt and making it our own, right? So it's really cool what you're doing.
Thank you.
And so even just like being on that stage, and you mentioned like working with Beyoncé for 3 years, I think that's definitely a name in music, especially a female. But I think anybody who kind of, you know, grew up, I'm born in 88, I'm 32, but Beyoncé, she's the queen, right? She's a mogul of music, and she's inspired so many with what she's done. And what was it like to kind of work with her, and what was that like for you as an artist to really, you know, be with Beyoncé and just collaborating with her and your music? And yeah, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, so when I first started working with her versus when I stopped, it was like there was a huge transformation just in how I perceived myself. And I think when you're an artist, so much of a huge part of the journey is your self-perception, especially whether if it's how seriously you're taking yourself, how you want to imagine your sound, how you want to imagine your look, all of those things, it all comes back to perception. So when I first started working with her, I'd gotten a Facebook message. I had like no Instagram followers, like I wasn't putting myself out there like that. I was just put videos of me playing, right, and like writing my music and whatever, just, you know, for myself really. And I got a message from a musical director on Facebook, and he was like, hey, my client likes you, can you join our band? I was like, well, who is this? Who's the client? I don't know who you are. This is a Facebook message. This is weird. So I was going to turn it down. And then he calls me and he's like, Google my name. I Google his name. I'm like, oh my God, this is Beyonce's director. This is like the producer. He does all of her tours, writes everything. And he's asked me to be in the band. And in that moment, I realized that people look at what I do, even though I may not necessarily be aware of the effects. I may not have a lot of followers, I may not have a lot of views, or you know, if whether if you're in sales, like making a lot of clothing sales or whatever, but people do notice what you're doing. And that's why I think for artists, it's so important just to always be on your game and always put your best foot forward, even if you feel like no one's paying attention, because someone is, I guarantee that. So they reached out, and from her, I just learned excellence. Like, she is excellence. Everything is perfected. Everything, there are no mistakes in her world. Like, nothing, even if it is a mistake, it's been practiced so much, it's not a mistake, if that makes sense. You rehearse with her 8 hours a day, every single day. For Coachella, was one show took, so it was like October, November, wait. Took like 6 months from one show.
Wow.
And it's just all of these amazing women of color, because her band is all women, which is amazing, but also very dramatic. But it was just an incredible experience just to see that level of, yeah, she has an all-women band. Just the level of perfection and dedication and precision. I mean, she's the greatest entertainer, and there's a reason why. Like, everything is, it's impossible for things to go wrong. That's how hard she works, if that makes sense.
I love that.
And that was really inspiring for me.
Yeah.
Like, you have to just be on your craft at every single moment, because you never know who's going to call, you never know who's looking. Yeah.
Well, I love that point that you made of, you know, it doesn't really matter how many followers you have, just consistently create content and put it out there. I was listening to David, what's his last name?
David Meltzer.
Meltzer, and he was talking about the same thing. He said, you know, just keep pushing out the content, and, you know, you don't know who's watching. So that's a perfect example of that happening.
Exactly.
Well deserved, because you're amazing. So.
Thanks so much.
And I think there's such a message too. Like, I think even for me growing up, I'd see greatness when it became greatness, but it was very hard to journey with people and understand that work behind the scenes. And I mean, watching you play the violin, like, there's so much more to just picking up an instrument. But I think when I'm watching you play it, it's the fluidity, and it's almost like it's part of your body at this point. And my question to you is, can you talk about that work behind the scenes? And for a lot of people that are, you know, they're going and putting in those super long days and they don't know where it's going to take them, but would you say without that hard work, is that really the foundation of what one really needs, like, to obtain excellence?
Totally. Hey, back. Yeah, great question. I think as an artist, you strive for fluidity. I think art is, in many ways, to me, it's similar to language, right? And you can't express yourself if you aren't comfortable in the language, if you're still speaking in broken sentences, if you can't write, if you can't, you know, describe all the different shades of blue. You know, it's very hard to be an eloquent speaker if you can't do those things. And I think music is very similar. You have to understand the language and understand how to express yourself with nuance and with clarity and with all different levels of emotion. And the only way you can do that is by putting in a lot of hours and a lot of work and a lot of dedication. And I started when I was 3. I'm 29. Like, I've been doing this for a very long time. And it's something that is, in many ways, it's easier for me to communicate through music than through words. Sometimes I feel like, you know, if I'm having a fight with like a partner or something, it's like, let me just play how I feel. Like, this is how I feel, because I can't quite express. That's how comfortable I am on my instrument. Wow. And when the only way, you know, to stress again, the only way you can get that level of comfort is just through the discipline and the dedication. And, you know, when I was younger, I was putting in like in school and stuff, I was practicing like 8 hours a day. It was insane. And now my work is a bit more spread out. I do more things. I produce now. I'm also, during quarantine, I've been taking some film courses, film scoring classes at Berkeley. So I'm really into film composition. And so I wear more hats now. I'm a businesswoman. I have my company. I do a lot more things, but every morning I wake up, I do scales, I do etudes, I do arpeggios, I do all of those basic it's like a workout, my basic fundamentals. So I stay in shape at any moment or at any time, because you never know when Beyonce's gonna call and be like, I need you to solo on my show. Like, You know, so you just want to stay prepared. So that's how I see it.
So where, like, for people that are maybe new to everything that you're doing and want to kind of stay in touch with your work and your projects, etc., like where's kind of the best place to follow kind of the new music you're dropping? Can you tell us about some of the stuff you're working on? And we just love to know more about that.
Yeah, of course. So my, labels are, but the new date is mid-July. For my release of my original singles. For those of you who don't know yet, a lot of my work online is been covers and mashing up classical with like Drake and classical with Yogati, and I've done so many covers, and a lot of them have gone viral because it's I started doing them a few years ago, and at the time people just wait, violin, and I did one to like Gucci Gang and the Gucci store, like just crazy things. So if you go online, you'll see a lot of that stuff. But coming out in July, I'll be releasing original music, and I'm so excited for this. And what you can expect is more or less what I've already been doing, which is basically taking hip hop and reimagining it with classical music, or you could see it the other way around, classical reimagined with hip hop. And yeah, if you just follow me on social media, I try to do a pretty good job of keeping people posted and putting links and stuff where you can get music and everything. But yeah, I'm always trying to put out content, so if you do follow, there's stuff there. I'm pretty active.
And we've been listening to a lot of your content. Again,
Thanks,
amazing.
guys.
Who's your favorite to work with? And
Um,
why?
you mean in terms of artists?
Yeah.
I had a really fun time working with Kendrick Lamar. I did work on Black Panther, and that was crazy. And he's just like such a quiet, like a very quiet, calming presence. But I was also like, oh shit, I gotta like deliver. But it was just an incredible session writing for him. That was really, really fun. And then we ended up just talking, and just a cool guy, like very cool and inspiring. That was fire. Who else would I say was really amazing? There's some classical people, I don't know if you know, but Yo-Yo Ma was incredible to work with.
Oh, Yo-Yo Ma. Buck did a bunch of stuff with Yo-Yo Ma too.
Yeah.
He's like the kindest, most generous OG ever. Like, that was so beautiful and humbling to see just that level of grace and generosity in music. Let me give you one more. Let me see. It was really fun session. I'm thinking. I did a lot of touring. Do you know Clean Bandit? It's like a British pop group. That was really fun because they were like, we were all the same age, and then we just like were wild on tours and stuff. So yeah, you can check out their music, Clean Bandit. They're fire. So
that's super cool.
So I always love to know too, like especially like being call it maybe a small town girl coming from Nebraska going to New York. What was kind of that like aha moment, like when you landed in New York and you're kind of like, and your dog interrupts you while you're the pizza. I think wrong house. It's not my dog. But, what's that kind of aha moment like for you? Just in terms of just when you really just felt like you've made it in with your music and you were kind of on that stage.
I guess I would probably say, because there were a lot of times where I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any money. I'm just playing the violin. I don't know what there was a lot of time of feeling lost and scared and uncertainty and all that stuff. I would definitely say being approached by three major labels, two within one division, was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Because things happen, and like you work with artists, or you get a job, or you get, and by a job I mean like a big gig, but you're still like, I don't know the long game of this. But seeing that, I was like, okay, like with this, and my music can be in commercials, my music can be in movies. Like that was a really kind of a big moment for me, and that happened recently. And then I think before that, honestly, despite the ups and the downs, I've always, and I still continue, because right now COVID is a bit of a down. I think artistically it's like a tough time for us. Despite the ups and the downs, I I know my greatness, and not to sound like arrogant, but it's like I know where I'm going to be. I know the accolades I will receive. It's just a matter of when and under what circumstances, if that makes sense. So there have been times where I was like, oh my God, I have no money, or like,
Yeah.
I don't know where my next job is, and it's okay, if that makes sense. That's
You
just
know,
kind of how
I think if you do what you love and you do it to a high level, you're going to be rewarded for that at some point. And I think if you put a positive energy out there, that it's going to come back. And we're obviously so just, we're pumped to see that, happening for you, and definitely how you resonate with our message of just really living a far from ordinary life. And I was chatting with Nick earlier, and I was saying it's really interesting to see just like we talked about the classical, mixed with kind of the modern trap. And I was saying, I'm going to paint a little picture for you, but let's say it's in the 1760s, and you're introduced to Bach or Mozart, and you've got 30 seconds to just play a quick piece. And they say that this girl, you have to hear, she's unbelievable. And he says, okay, I'll give you 30 seconds. What do you play? And then what do you say?
Like, what would I play to Bach?
Well, yeah. What classical piece? What classical piece are you going to play to him to just captivate his attention?
I definitely would not play. I mean, it would be kind of cool though to play like one of the singles I'm putting out. It's like a mixture of like 808s and Bach. It would be kind of cool to play that and just be like, what are these sounds? Because there'd be no concept for that stuff. But I guess if I were to play something for Bach, let's say at the time, I would probably play. There's this piece by this French composer named Ysaye, Ysaye. I forgot his first name. Oh, Eugene Ysaye, right? So he wrote this piece, I believe in the 1900s, some history, yay. Oh yeah, Guyana, okay. It's my father's country. Anyway, so he wrote this piece in the 1900s, and it's basically, he takes a piece by Bach, and the piece is called Obsession. And it's a very happy piece, but then he makes it demented as hell. It's just like, everything's scary and terrifying. He takes this piece, and all of a sudden it like interrupts, and there's this rage and this craziness. And I would play it for him because Bach would never in a million years expect. It's like if you take the Mona Lisa, slash it in half, put some blood on it, and then show it to Da Vinci.
Wow.
Or he painted it, the Mona Lisa, right?
Yeah, Da Vinci did.
Show it to Da Vinci, and he'd be like, this is kind of brilliant. This is the future. This is, who knows what would be his reaction, but that would be the equivalent. So that would be pretty cool.
Well, and I think it's the one thing that I think it's amazing how you can kind of push boundaries with music, because you think about this idea of fusing two things that traditionally were probably not meant to be fused, but you put your own splash on it and, your own creativity. And now all of a sudden you've created an art. It brings people together, and that in essence is really far from ordinary. So, yeah.
I actually found out about Bach because I was following JR. JR posted a picture of Bach dancing to Michael Jackson, but he incorporated like ballet with like Michael Jackson moves with like, I don't even know what was going on. So I reached out to Bach, and it's just super cool to see like you doing very similar things. Like you're trained in classical, but doing trap and all these different things, like using different elements and bringing them in and making it your own. Like that's to me amazing. And
thank you.
That's what we're really trying to do as well with our brand, and just kind of making it our own. Not reinventing the wheel, but just using different things that we were raised upon, like and incorporating that into our fashion. So it's kind of like your outlet and our outlet, which is really
so fire.
Really,
also
really
send me
cool.
that video. I want to see that video. The JR video of the Michael Jackson and the Bach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bach, I know you're watching. Send me that video again.
Yeah.
It's like way back. That's when you had like 10,000 followers, but now you're way past that. But yeah, superstar, superstar. But no, I love it. And that's amazing.
And Nick, with fire in mind, I know you always like to give away.
Yeah. Why don't we give away this shirt?
Okay, but we gotta ask.
Ezzy, you ask the question, and we'll give away the shirt.
So what do I do?
Trivia.
A trivia question for you or for me?
For you. You tell our viewers something that they should know about you, and they can DM us the answer, and we'll give away this shirt.
Okay, so should it be like a question of that's something that I said
First
in
two
the
people.
interview?
First two people to get it.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So we
So
got two prizes.
it'd be a question from something that I said in the interview? Like
Whatever
to
you
test
want.
out while
Yeah.
they were listening?
There's no rules.
There's no
We can
rules.
be
It's whatever you
expansive.
want.
I mean,
Okay.
there.
When did I start playing the violin?
Oh, okay.
When did you start playing the violin? Okay, Jeopardy music.
Okay, so are we doing it on?
We'll announce. So
Yeah.
we will announce. We will. If you won, we will reach out to you for your size.
DM
We'll
us
make sure
your
you get
answers.
it.
Ordinary clothing. DM us the answers, and we will pick some winners and ship it out to you.
There you go.
Fire.
And fire indeed. And you know, we just again, we are just extremely grateful to really get an opportunity to talk to you again. I'd just like you to let people know again where they can follow you, where they can again come back to just hear your music and just kind of keep up with everything that you're doing. Can you just kind of
Shout it
run
out?
us through that one more time?
Yeah, so you can find me under my internet hashtag Classical Bay, or you can find me under Ezinma Ezinma. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and then music will be coming out on all platforms mid-July.
Okay. That rendition you did of the box is crazy. Everyone's gotta check that out on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah.
I love that part where those women start vibing with you in the middle and you
I know.
kind of playing and they're like, oh, that was cool.
Only in LA. That would never happen in New York.
Yeah.
New Yorkers are like, go away. Like,
Yeah. So true. And now with COVID, they'd be like, stay away.
stay
You gotta
away.
be like way more away. So
Yeah.
Right.
no, well that's great. Well, okay, well, we appreciate having you so much, and you know it's great. FFO Frequency 2, the Wavelength, our second guest, and we couldn't be more excited and thankful for having you. And again,
you.
everybody, thank you for tuning in and spending some time with myself, Ordinary Nick, and our new friend Ezinma. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks
see
so
ya.
much.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.